fun to play with model cars and build them and watch them go.
Yeah!
Would you like to see how a real one is built?
Yeah!
Welcome to the Big Auto Plant. Our adventure begins here, in the town of Stuttgart, Germany. Stuttgart is located in southern Germany, near the famous Black Forest. In the downtown park, there are many fountains and old buildings, even a giant palace. Stuttgart was once home to knights in shining armor, but today it is best known as the home of Mercedes-Benz. This is the story of how a whole team of people on 2 different continents create the Mercedes M-Class automobile. Our car is born here, in the design center. Before a new car is built, it must be designed and engineered. How long will it be? How tall will it be? How many people will it carry? How big an engine? How much room in the trunk? Every car starts with a sheet of paper and the experienced hand of a master designer, like Steve Madden. Designers must take into account lots of information about a new car. The size of the car, how it looks on the road, how fast it goes. Designers try many different designs. They try things over and over again until a final design is chosen.
Sometimes it's a mixture of various different models, but you've got a whole group of people working together.
Every single part of a new car has to be designed.
You've got to design everything. You know, you're designing the door handles, you're designing, every little switch on the interior. The materials have got to be designed as well, the colors, the textures.
The next step is to make a model of the chosen design. From the drawings, a clay model is made to the exact dimensions. They even paint and finish it like a real car. Usually, a full-size model is made. It is called a prototype. It's a one-of-a-kind car that is put together by hand. An important part of the design takes place here, in the wind tunnel. A wind tunnel is a smooth tunnel with a giant fan on one end. Aerodynamic engineers test a model in the wind tunnel to learn how air flows around it. They add smoke to the airflow to see how it moves over the body of the vehicle. See?
Cool!
The test is monitored by computers and video cameras. During the tests, engineers change the shape of the car to make the airflow smoother. They do this again and again until they get a design that is very smooth. The smoother the airflow, the better the car's gas mileage. Engineers also use dolls to help design convertibles. that can drive with the top down without messing up passengers' hair. Once the design and engineering is complete, the car is ready to be built. Body parts are made here, at the stamping plant. Giant presses stamp sheet metal into parts for the car. Doors, hoods, and side panels. Each press pushes down with a force of almost 4,000 tons.
Wow.
It's like when you press aluminum foil into different shapes with your hands. The flat metal goes through a number of giant presses and cutters. These are the hoods of our M-Class. Skilled workers check every part for quality. The parts are then stacked in special containers and shipped to the M-Class assembly plant. This is the Mercedes assembly plant in Tuscaloosa County, Alabama. This big auto plant is larger than 26 football fields.
Wow.
The assembly plant is a very busy place. There are almost 2,000 workers called team members. They work together to take raw parts and turn them into a brand new Mercedes-Benz. Different parts arrive by truck or train, and forklifts take them to a large holding area. The plant only keeps 1 day of parts on hand, so new parts arrive all the time. This is called just-in-time delivery because the parts arrive just in time to be used on the assembly line. It takes thousands of parts to build a new M-Class.
Wow.
Teresa Plowman's job is to keep the assembly line stocked with new parts as they are needed.
I deliver parts to the line. We have different areas we go to. We pack boxes, or we use forklifts or tuggers, and we take them the parts they need to build the cars.
Teresa drives over 20 miles every day delivering parts around the plant. She makes sure that team members on the line don't run out of new parts.
Keeping the line running is very important. Any time that they're down is time that we lose, and it takes longer to make the cars that way.
Each M-Class is made to order and has its own order form called a broadcast sheet. This sheet tells all the information about the new car. The color, the options, even the country where it's shipped. See? This one is for the USA. Team members scan each broadcast sheet into the computers and attach them to the autos as they start down the assembly line. The first assembly is the front end of the car and the firewall. Then the floor is put together. The stamped metal floor pieces are assembled by welding. This is where the metal is heated up and melted together, like gluing a model kit. Next, these large side pieces are put in place. They are called sidewalls. In some places, they are 3 layers thick for extra strength. Team members make sure they're lined up properly. Then the car moves down the line where the body is welded together. There are almost 5,000 welds on each M-Class. Almost 90% of them are made by robots.
Robots?
Yes, lots of different robots. Watch. Now team members check all the welds. They test the strength of critical welds with a hammer and chisel. More robots weld the body. And workers in special protective gear weld some of the parts by hand. At this time, the roof is put on top. Team members use a load assist, which does all the heavy lifting for them. When the body welding is complete, the body moves down to the perceptron measurement device. Here, a series of 44 different cameras and lasers measure 96 different dimensions in 10 seconds. This is one of the many quality checks on the line. Everything has to be exact. Now it's time to smooth out all the small nicks and scratches caused during the welding. This area is very brightly lit so team members can see any imperfections in the body. The front fenders are added, along with the rear liftgate, the hood, and 4 doors. Team members work together to connect all the different parts. Under the bright lights, workers check the body with gloves to make sure it's ready for painting. The car body is moved up an elevator to the paint shop. The paint shop is a special part of the plant, separated by a solid wall. The pressure inside the paint shop is greater than the pressure outside, so no dust ever gets into the area. Dust and impurities in the air can ruin a paint job. All workers who enter the paint shop must go through an airlock that blows them with dozens of nozzles to remove all dust from their clothes. Everyone in the paint shop has to wear special coveralls and headgear. Each M-Class gets 6 layers of paint. The phosphate layer, which makes the metal better to paint. The E-coat, which protects the metal. 2 coats of primer for added protection, the color coat, which is the color you see on the car, and the clear coat, which protects the paint. The first step in painting a car is to clean the metal. Here it goes through the first wash.
It looks like a car wash.
Then the body is totally dipped into giant tanks for the phosphate coat and the E-coat. Downstairs, you can see the 40,000-gallon tanks. They are larger than most swimming pools. After the E-coat, the bodies are dried in a giant oven and inspected. Under bright lights, team members carefully inspect each M-Class body. After the phosphate coat and E-coat, the bodies come here to have all their seams sealed with special putty. Watch how robots follow every seam in the car.
Cool.
Then workers touch up every tiny space by hand. Now it's time for the primer coat. Cars that will be painted white get a white primer. All other cars get a different primer. Watch how the robots paint the cars.
Look, they even open and close the doors.
Each body travels through the paint shop on a conveyor controlled by computers. After the primer, the bodies are painted with the color coat, one color after another. The color coat is followed by a clear coat. After the bodies are painted and dry, they are inspected again. A special hot wax is injected into all the holes inside the body to help prevent rust and corrosion. Bodies are even tilted up and down so the wax flows into every inside corner. When the bodies are completely painted, they are sent here to the selectivity bank, where they wait until they are ready for the assembly line. When a certain car is called up, it gets a final inspection and then heads to the assembly line on the other side of the plant. You can even see the bodies moving above the lobby. When a car body leaves the selectivity bank, a computer message is sent here to Delphi Automotive, where the interior cockpit is assembled. That message tells what model M-Class is being assembled and what options and colors it needs. Then they begin to build the new cockpit. Watch. This metal backbone is the first piece, then the steering column. That's the passenger airbag. Then workers add the wiring harness, the heater, the top surface, the bottom surface, the heater controls, the gauges, the wood trim, and finally the glove compartment. When the cockpit is completely assembled, it is tested and packed for shipping. There go the new cockpits. They'll be trucked over to the Mercedes assembly plant just down the road. Back on the assembly line, the doors are removed from the bodies and are taken on a special conveyor to their own assembly line. Doors are more complicated than they seem. Watch how many different parts go into the door. First, team members install wiring. Then the locks, window glass, sound insulation. Here, they put in the speakers. The broadcast sheet tells what kind of speakers each car receives.
What's that?
That is the side airbag. Every M-Class has 6 airbags for safety.
Safety?
Safety is the most important part about designing a new car. Here at the Mercedes Crash Center, engineers crash cars to make sure they are safe.
What are those?
Those are crash dummies. They are like life-size figures that are filled with electronic sensors. They even have small, child-sized models. The dummy family is placed inside the car and connected to computers. They are even warmed up to human temperature. Everything is ready to go. Engineers make one last check and connect all the sensors. The crash happens very quickly. The M-Class is crashed against a solid wall, but the passengers survive because of airbags and the design of the car. Watch in slow motion how the airbags open to protect the passengers. Airbags open in less than 30 milliseconds.
Wow!
See how the front of the car crumples up? That is part of the safety design, to protect the passengers. Engineers do many kinds of crash tests. Side crash tests, rear crash tests. They even do drop tests. In all these tests, the seat belts and airbags protect the passengers, and the fuel tank does not leak. This is designed into the car from the very beginning. Engineers also do outdoor tests, where they crash 2 cars together. Watch. The cars are damaged, but the passengers will be okay. Crash tests help engineers design better and safer automobiles. Back at the assembly plant, blue plastic covers are put on the fenders to protect each car, and team members must wear special covers on their watches and belts to prevent scratching the paint. See how the wiring harnesses are installed.
That's a lot of wire.
There are over 3 miles of wire in every M-Class automobile. These wires connect everything from the power windows to the lights to the airbags. That box under the hood is called the E-Box. It's the car's command center. Team members must know every wire and where it's connected.
Wow.
That big piece is called the headliner. It goes into the ceiling of the car. See how that one has a cutout for the sunroof? That's the carpet. It's installed with a load lift. Here is the new cockpit. It was built in the last 90 minutes and arrived here just a few minutes ago from the cockpit plant down the road.
Look at that robot.
That is the glass robot. It delivers the proper glass pieces for every car on the line. Cars for different countries need different types of glass. Ken Hayes helps design the special machines and robots in the plant. Creating a new machine takes a lot of work.
It's a lot of trial and error. A lot of things don't work the first time. You have to redo them and continuously improve on what you know does work.
Ken spends a lot of time on the assembly line to make sure the machines are working properly.
How's this thing working out for you? This tire conveyor since they put it in. Pretty good.
The whole plant is like one giant computer network.
We've got computers that are tied into a network that tells us what stations go down, what the problem was in the station so that we can design a solution.
Team members finish up work on the body.
There are the taillights.
That's the console, the seats, steering wheel, and even the radio and first aid kit. When all the body parts are assembled, it's time for team members like Luella Miner to perform a detailed parts check.
When the vehicle comes up to me, there's a sheet on it that is called a broadcast sheet, and it tells you every part that you should have and the color that goes into this car.
Luella works with a special computer to check every part on the new car.
We scan in the VIN number of each car, and we proceed to test this car to make sure it has the right parts in it. If the parts are not correct, it will show us on the screen.
If any part is incorrect, it is immediately replaced with the right one.
Quality is our main focus. We want to build the best quality vehicle that we can here.
Now it's time to put the body together with the chassis.
What's a chassis?
The chassis is like the skeleton and muscles of a car. This is the M-Class chassis. It includes many different parts. The frame, the suspension, which includes the brakes, the wheels and the tires, the exhaust system, the transfer case, the transmission, and of course, the engine. Would you like to see how they make an engine?
Yeah!
The M-Class engine is built in this plant in Stuttgart, Germany. This giant building is partially powered by solar energy cells located on the roof. The engine plant is a very large place. Everything starts with this piece of aluminum called the engine block. The block gets drilled and polished by lots of different machines. All that liquid is oil to keep everything lubricated. This is called the crankshaft. It is ground and polished on machines called lathes. All these machines are controlled by computers. Engine parts must be very smooth, and they have to be made to exact dimensions. Workers check every part to make sure they're right. Robots help a lot. Here they place the crankshaft in the engine block. Sometimes robots even work together, like here where they install the pistons.
Cool.
Quality is very important, so along the way, every engine is checked out. A computer even takes video pictures inside the engine. There's lots of work to do. Everyone works together as a team. Kirsten Dawney is an engineer at the plant.
I'm responsible for the quality of the machines, the equipment, the tools, and the oil and so on. As a child, I played with trains, and I liked the technical details, the equipment.
Kirsten and fellow engineer Yanko Vicker walk the assembly line to make sure all systems are operating properly. At the end of the line, every engine is tested.
How does an engine work?
Most automobiles are powered by gasoline engines that have pistons and cylinders connected to a crankshaft. Each piston has 4 strokes. First, the fuel valve opens and the piston sucks a mixture of air and gasoline into the cylinder. This is called the intake stroke. Then, the piston moves back and compresses the mixture. This is called the compression stroke. Now the spark plug fires. The mixture explodes and pushes the piston back. This is called the power stroke. Finally, the exhaust valve opens and the piston pushes the exhaust out of the cylinder and out the exhaust pipe. This is called the exhaust stroke. Then the cycle starts all over again. Intake, compression, power, exhaust.
Intake, compression, power, exhaust, intake.
This cycle goes on in every cylinder of the engine, and it happens quickly. A car driving at about 30 miles per hour, or 50 kilometers per hour, will go through 10,000 cycles every minute.
Wow!
Back in the assembly plant, engines arrive in large metal crates. They are lifted up and moved to the engine assembly area. Here, team members connect the transmission and the final engine parts. This is the beginning of the chassis line. First, the front and rear suspension are connected. This includes the axle, the suspension, and the disc brakes. Watch how this team works together. As the chassis heads down the line, it all takes shape. The brake lines and hoses are added. Here, the anti-lock brakes are connected. The engine and transmission are bolted onto the frame. Those are the exhaust pipes. That's the radiator. It keeps the engine cool. Gerald Ephraim works on the chassis line. His job is to install the special plastic fuel tank. Everyone has their own part to do on the assembly line.
We work together as a team so that we can produce a quality product for our customers. What I've learned since I've been working here is that teamwork is very important, and you got to be a team player in any area of life.
Team members can produce hundreds of M-Class cars every day.
Wow!
Workers use hundreds of nuts and bolts to connect all the parts together. Now the spare tire is added. He's connecting the drive shaft. It delivers power from the engine to the rear wheels. Another drive shaft delivers power to the front wheels. When the chassis is complete, it meets the body here at the marriage station. M-Class bodies are lowered down onto the proper chassis, and team members bolt them together. This is called the final line. There is still lots to do.
There's the bumper.
Here is where the headlights are connected. Those parts are called the rocker panels. And the wheels and tires. The broadcast sheet tells exactly which wheels go on which car. Wheels are connected to the car by lug nuts. Watch how team members use a special tool to install all 5 lug nuts at once. Lots of wires and controls have to be connected and checked. At this station, fluids are added, like the air conditioning fluid, the brake fluid, and the power steering fluid. Now it's time to put the doors back on. The exact doors that were taken off earlier meet the right car. And the plastic covers are taken off to be used again. A whole group of team members check out the doors and all the different parts to make sure everything fits perfectly. This is the end of the line. The new car is started up for the first time and driven over for quality inspection. See how they drive over bumps to settle the suspension? At the inspection station, each new M-Class is carefully checked out. The wheels and headlights are aligned with lasers. Every car is put through a test on this machine, called a dynamometer. It is like a giant treadmill for cars, so the car can run at high speed and not go anywhere. A computer checks out the power of the engine, the brakes, and the speed control. Every M-Class is also put through a rain test to make sure the body is sealed from the weather. But tests don't stop here. Occasionally, engineers will do a special test of new cars. The on-road track tests speed, water hazards, and braking on wet pavement. Sometimes, they even use a special off-road course behind the plant. Here the M-Class is driven over all kinds of different obstacles. They even drive upstairs.
Wow!
Watch how it goes over big rocks, down steep hills, over rough terrain, and even across a pond. Engineers run these tests to learn how to make better cars in the future. This is the final inspection area. Every car gets a final inspection. team members check out every part of the car once again. Then they are covered with protective white plastic and driven to the giant parking lot where they wait for delivery. Some will be loaded on trains and others will go by truck. Some will go to dealers in the US and others will be put on ships for countries all around the world. This special truck is called a car carrier. It can hold 8 new M-Class autos. Watch how the loaders put all the cars on this big truck. They have to check to make sure the cars will fit under bridges along the highway. When all the new cars are secure, it's time to deliver the new cars to the dealership.
Goodbye, big car carrier.
The brand new cars are displayed at the car dealership, where customers come to buy them. This beautiful new car started out as a drawing on a piece of paper and was engineered and assembled by hundreds of skilled team members from around the world. So remember, the next time you're out on the road, look around. You might just see a car that was built in the big auto plant.